20 years ago, when travelling by car, you had three rather exhilarating options. You could splash out £500 and purchase a state-of-the-art portable GPS, the TomTom Go at the time. Alternatively, you could go old school, grab yourself an A to Z road map, squabble with your passenger over the correct route, miss a turn, and then end up in a shouting match. Then there was the third option, trust me bro method. This involved asking random strangers for directions, or relying on that questionable friend who swore he knew every single shortcut. Fast forward to today, and we've gone from navigational Neanderthals to digital road warriors. Satellite navigation is so embedded in our lives, we hardly even give it a second thought. Now, just whip out your phone, pop into the App Store, and voila, an array of free apps at your fingertips. Google Maps and Apple Maps lead the pack, with Waze emerging as a maverick choice. Waze started in 2006 in Israel as a piece of software added to older GPS systems like the TomTom Go, which allowed drivers to share speed camera locations on Israeli streets, offering the feel of a CB radio but with a sleek 21st century twist. It wasn't long before Waze skyrocketed to fame, snatching up to 500,000 users in its first year and ballooning to 2.2 million by the second. Today, it's the darling of the mapping world, boasting over 150 million active monthly users. Over time, it's evolved to the #1 mapping recommendation for mapping software on several websites. So bullish people were about Waze that even Google coughed up $1.3 billion back in 2013 just to buy it. 11 years later, and despite amassing over 500 million downloads on the Play Store and hundreds of millions more on Apple devices, Waze has only maintained an active user base of around 150 million a month since 2019, seeing no growth for just over 5 years now. And their revenue from ads isn't exactly been a gold rush either, hovering between the dismal $20 and $75 million a year, which is lemonade stand figures compared to the billions sister company Google Maps brings in for the exact same business model. If Waze was to be valued today, it will come in at just a measly $375 million, meaning rather than going up in value, it's lost $1 billion in value. What exactly is the true value of Waze then? Sure, it's a godsend for us forward-thinking motorists, but from a business standpoint, why did it have a hefty price tag of $1.3 billion back in 2013, when its revenue then and now doesn't even come close to those kind of numbers? As it turns out, Waze holds something far more valuable to Google, which could be disastrous if Apple or anybody else had control of it. So this is another business theory, and we're looking at if Waze was a $1.3 billion mistake. Waze rose to fame by taking the social aspects of social media and combining it with the navigation and mapping, making Waze sort of a social and crowdsourced platform, making its users its data points. Traditionally, mapping and navigation apps like TomTom, Apple Maps or even Google Maps, before they started using Android devices, purchased its traffic and road data from these companies that apparently sold it. Simultaneously, it feeds more detailed traffic data like roads average speed, closures, weather conditions and several other things onto the map. So say you're driving along the road and everyone's crawling because, I don't know, there's a tractor hogging the road. This information gets picked up, fed back to the software, and the map updates in real time. Waze will then offer you an alternative route to avoid the oncoming frustration, courtesy of Old MacDonald and his slow-moving farm equipment. Alongside that, its users, affectionately known as Wazers, can manually add their own specific updates to the map. So let's say there's a mobile speed camera lurking around the corner, a nasty crash blocking the road, or a stretch of tarmac riddled with potholes and speed bumps. These can all be added to the map, doing a solid for all the other fellow Wazers with slammed cars. Google does offer similar crowdsourcing features, but they aren't anywhere near as detailed as Waze's. For lane closures and average speed cameras, Google often lags behind, and relies primarily on updates from departments of transportation. Waze, however, being a crowdsourced platform, boasts far more accurate data on temporary disruptions because its Wazers report them in real time as they pass by. A couple of my favourite features on Waze include the progress bar when you hit congestion or average speed cameras, and if you need to avoid a clean air zone, Waze has the data for all cities, whereas Google only really covers London's ULEZ in the UK. Now, let's talk money. Waze's business model is much like its sibling, Google Maps, and revolves around ad revenue. Ads will pop up when you've stopped at traffic lights or just stopped in general, highlighting businesses along your route. Think coffee shops and restaurants. For a company under the Google umbrella, the revenue is nothing to write home about at all. Despite its massive user base, the most Wazers managed to rake in a single year is around $75 million. And for a company valued at $1.3 billion over 10 years ago, you'd expect to receive returns near 10 times that by now, especially with a company like Google behind them. So why hasn't it achieved that, and what exactly does Google want with Waze then? When Google acquired Waze, Google Maps had already reached over 1 billion active users, so its users really weren't a concern. While Waze had a solid technology and a talented team, Google could have replicated the same talent in-house, so this wasn't about acquiring its tech or talent. It wasn't replacing Google Maps with its product either, because Google already had a solid business model with Maps and Google Maps was already a better product. Google didn't just snap up Waze for the sake of it, they had a plan, a strategic plan. Waze's treasure trove of data, real-time traffic updates, user reports on accidents and all that gave Google Maps an advantage. Suddenly your journey wasn't just a route, it was a live action playbook, dodging jams and accidents like a pro. But that's not all. Google has also been eyeing up the future of driving with autonomous vehicles. Waze's data on traffic patterns and road closures, gold dust for making self-driving cars smarter and safer. Think about it. Your car knows when to speed up, slow down, take a detour, all thanks to Waze. Alphabet's Waymo project makes the most of this. Then, there's the advertising bit. With Waze, Google can pinpoint your exact location and feed you ads for nearby businesses and make those ads a lot more relevant. And let's not forget city planners and governments. They're licking their lips over Waze's insights. Imagine cities using this data to know exactly where to set up more temporary traffic lights and close a road, setting up a new picnic spot for its workers, creating more much needed congestion in busy areas. But seriously though, perhaps the most strategic reason behind Google's purchase of Waze was to slam the door shut on any other tech giants eyeing up this sweet technology. Because back in 2012, Apple's rollout of Apple Maps alongside iOS 6 was an absolute shambles. People were being sent to the wrong places, dead ends, complete chaos. And to fix this debacle, they pondered whether buying Waze for $500 million, and it seemed like a no-brainer at the time. Swap out the malfunctioning Apple Maps for Waze's proven system. But ultimately, they decided Waze didn't quite fit with their branding image. Instead, they rolled up their sleeves and doubled down on fixing Apple Maps themselves. When all the dust settled with Apple, a few months later in early 2013, rumours began circulating that Facebook was interested in purchasing Waze. Despite questions about why a social media company would want a mapping software, reports suggested a potential acquisition price for around $1 billion, sparking widespread speculation that a deal had already been struck. Then, out of nowhere in June 2013, it was announced that Google had successfully closed a deal with Waze for $1.3 billion. Although some may have argued that Waze was slightly overvalued at the time of Google's acquisition, Google saw it as an indispensable asset in their arsenal. The real value lay not in just what Waze could do for Google, but in preventing other tech giants from getting their hands on it. Just imagine if Tesla had swooped in for Waze to power their autonomous dreams, or if Meta had snagged in to reshape the digital map landscape. It could have turned into a strategic nightmare for Google Maps, and a battle they couldn't afford to lose. So Google's move to secure Waze wasn't just about what it was worth, it was about protecting their turf and keeping their competition at bay. And let's be honest, for a company raking in $1/3 trillion in the last financial year, dropping $1.3 billion to safeguard their position is pocket change. It's not about the money, it's about staying ahead of the pack and making sure Google Maps remain top dog in town. And with all of Alphabet's other projects simultaneously roaring ahead like a fleet of supercars, Waze holds far more value than just Google. It provides immense benefits to their side quests as well. Take Waymo for example. As mentioned before, these autonomous vehicles will navigate with the precision of a guided missile thanks to Waze's real-time traffic data. Then there's Wing, their drone delivery service, which will plot courses through the skies with the efficiency of seasoned pilot avoiding rush hour gridlock. Street View, it can snap up-to-date images of ever-changing urban landscapes with pinpoint accuracy. And let's not forget Sidewalk Labs, using Waze's insights for smarter, more efficient city planning. The possibilities are quite frankly endless. So what other benefits do you think Waze holds for Google? Was acquiring Waze a mistake, or was it a stroke of pure genius? Let us know in the comments below, and until next time, this has been Business Theory and thank you for watching.